Thank you all for coming in on the very first inaugural episode of Sports and Whiskey. I'm your boy Big Herb,
Rickstro.
and this is a spinoff to Blurs and Whiskey. Two niggas just getting together, just talking sports and talking shit. So before we get into it, man, so what?
I got a hair in my tree. What the fuck?
So exactly what in sports was good for you this week?
This week in sports, the NFL draft was good for me this week in sports. The team that I'm a supporter of, I don't use fan because little known fact, fan is short for fanatic, and I am not fanatical about anything. I keep my wits about me. But the team that I support, the Washington football team, aka we used to be a racist name, but now we're not. They had a really good draft. I was really impressed by Ron Rivera and his staff and their ability to draft, especially deeper into the draft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got a kid. They got a kid from Penn State who named Shaka Tony, who is going to add depth to the defensive line. And if they possibly can't re-sign one of those first round pick defense linemen they got, he could be a suitable replacement if he proceeds to progress well. I love the Damani Brown pick out of North Carolina. Listen, a lot of people were like, man, he only runs one route. Well, listen, I'll take somebody that does one thing really, really well over somebody that doesn't do anything well at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that was pretty. That's what's been good for me in sports this week. How about yourself?
Yeah, we definitely gonna get deep into that later on. But I have to say, yes, it was the draft for me, but it was also the Wizards have been on a tear as of lately. As I mean, even though they lost last night, they lost a close game, a nail biter to the Dallas Mavericks. Bill lost the handles on the last shot, so I mean it sucked. But I mean the fact that they what are they like what 11 out of the last 14 games they've won. So I mean, and they in a real down the stretch in the NBA playoffs. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I wish they would have did this shit sooner, but I mean, hey, better late than never. So
yeah, like they fell victim to a lot of COVID stuff early on, and you know, I mean, a lot of injuries, and Russell Westbrook was only playing part time, but I mean, they're putting it together and they're showing that they're a threat in the East. I really like again just piggybacking off what you're saying. I've really enjoyed the way the Wizards have been playing lately. They're if they make it into the playoffs, I think they're gonna cause some problems. I would love to see them go against the Nets and that mentally fragile team. That whole team is mentally fragile. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm not
KD got 40. KD got 45 Twitter accounts. Kyrie Irving can't handle another black man calling the word now. James Harden got him 40 stripper babies. I mean, it's crazy. Blake Griffin don't know whether or not he's good or no more. Like it's just crazy, man. So you know, I don't think the Nets are as good as everybody wants them to be, even though they just keep on adding people. They added LaMarcus Aldridge, and he was there for 2 weeks, and it was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and go, guys. I'm done with this.
Yeah, man. Only time will tell, and I can't wait to see it. But guys, we got to get into a segment that we're going to get into. It's called Sports This Week in Sports History. So this past week in sports history, on April 28th, 1967, Muhammad Ali refused to be inducted into the army and was stripped of his boxing title. For those who don't know the history behind this, yes, Muhammad Ali is looked at now as one of the greatest, not just athletes, but persons to ever live. But at the time, at that very time, he wasn't looked at as he was always looked at a villain against America or you a traitor. And to be honest, I don't blame him for thinking the way he thought back in the day because they didn't support us when we was going through all this turmoil here at home. I can't even sit in the front of the bus without being looked at differently or being thrown in jail. I can't even get civil rights, not equal rights, civil rights. And I mean, and y'all want me to go out here and kill people and this against my religion? I got a problem with that, and I don't want to do it. I don't blame him for that stance. And the fact that he got sentenced up to 5 years and a $10,000 fine and $10,000 in 1967, a shitload of money. So I mean, he went broke too, just for a second. So
He went broke just fighting the case in court because his lawyer, they kept taking it to different courts, different appeals. And again, he wasn't earning any money at that time. You know what I mean? Because he couldn't box because his licenses were revoked. And again, it's just funny that Muhammad Ali is one of those people who now, in revisionist history, white people like to look at it as, oh, he was fighting for what he believed in, this and that. And they love it. They love to switch the narrative. You know, they love to switch the narrative and paint people as heroes. But it's like, no, you people hated him. You people discussed him. You looked at him as a coward and a traitor and somebody who turned his back on this country. But I mean, like, again, the crazy thing is, to me, is the day that I realized that America always wasn't a good guy. When I actually had my awakening and I realized that all of these movies where it's like, it's the American way and I'm doing this for what's right. And it's just like, no, most of the time you aren't doing it for what's right. You're doing it for some monetary interest or some way to try and see power from something to try and keep your interest going. And Muhammad Ali was just one of those people who stood up and said, no, I won't do this because this isn't right. We're getting involved in something that has nothing to do with us because y'all are trying to position yourselves to keep power or maintain power or your interest or whatever. And again, it's to be commended. He's still a great man for doing what he did.
And even as far as like the disrespect that he got, this was right around the time when he changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. And even if you look in these photos, in these pictures that we put up, they were still calling them Cassius. And even like, and you seen what, if you guys seen the movie Ali, you seen who called him Ali, what's his name, Cassius. I mean, he literally beat the nigga's ass until he said, "What's my name?" And, I mean, but fighting for what you believe in, I think is an amazing thing. And that moves us on to the very next thing with Aaron Rodgers. You want to explain this?
Yeah. I mean, speaking of fighting for your freedom, it came out right before the draft started on Thursday, the 28th, I believe. Mm-hmm. That Aaron Rodgers flat out said he wants out of Green Bay. And then now, because we're filming a couple of days later, it's been said that Aaron Rodgers has told people in the team that people on the team and people in the team that work for the team that he has no plans of coming back. And the only way that he would come back is if the GM is absolutely fired. It's kicked right out of there. I mean, I honestly, I can't blame him. He's been on the team for 16 years. 3 out of those, I mean, 2.5 out of those 16 years, he didn't play because they were doing this same shuck and jive game with Brett Favre. Mm-hmm. They haven't gotten him a first round wide receiver ever. Ever. The only first round skill position player that they've gotten to go with Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback that they got to replace him last year. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I mean, the Packers have kind of made their own bed, and now they're going to have to lay in it. I mean, and people are just like, oh, well, you know, he's just a quarterback. Da, da, da. You're paying this man $27 million a year, and he's asking you to protect him, and he just wants to be able to put his input. You're asking him to be the president of your franchise, and when he asks for input on this, it's like, no, we didn't hire you for that. What do you mean? Like, you invested all of this money in him, all this time, and I'm like, he deserves to be brought in on these situations and these decisions. And it's kind of crazy to me that people see it as, some people just don't see it. Some people don't agree with the player's perspective. I really don't get that, especially if you work a 9-to-5 job. I really don't get that.
Exactly. And I look at it as like the balls that you have to have on yourself as a GM or front office or whoever made the call. For you to even not bring this up to him, say, hey, so we're thinking about the future. We know that you're like 37 years old. You're not going to be around for way too long, but we want to draft your replacement. Hey, guys, we just and even if he comes up to him and says, like, hey, guys, we just came off an NFC Championship. I need receivers. If you want me to be the best quarterback that I can be, give me some damn talent. Hell, I'll even take a lineman if you can, just to protect me, to make sure that I can do the best job that I can. I'm for that. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, and then you just went ahead, oh yeah, you guys are gonna draft a quarterback. Nothing against what's his name?
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love. Nothing against him, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're not gonna help me this year. We just was in the NFC Championship last year. We got our asses handed to us. I need help. And then you go ahead and draft his replacement. And then, as a big fuck you to the whole entire organization, he wins the MVP. And it's just like, you really gonna try to replace me now? All right, bet. Watch me. And by the way, if you don't get me to this fucking championship, which they didn't, I'm ready to go. And I think honestly, the straw that broke the camel's back was the NFC Championship game. Look, man, it's 4th and 5 in our 5. So even if I don't get this shit in the end zone, they're still Tampa's still at the 5-yard line on their side. We our defense is good enough. We got 3 interceptions at the time. Yo, let's go ahead and get in the fucking end zone. No, we're gonna kick it. You know, fuck this shit. I'm done with these niggas. Like, for real. I don't blame him for wanting out.
Well, I mean, I think Matt LaFleur did a bad job of trying to, like, a lot of these coaches are very, very arrogant. They believe in their systems over players, and they do trying to form relationships with their best players, and it kind of bites them in the ass, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Like, that's what bit Mike McCarthy in the ass in the end in Green Bay, is he got a little bit too big for his britches, and then realized that his bread was buttered with his quarterback. And now LaFleur is kind of in the same situation. But, I mean, it's like your system doesn't work without great players. No good system ever works if you don't have great players running it. And that's the downfall of a lot of NFL coaches. Like, they believe that their shit don't stink. And that's they're not humble enough. Like, I mean, in order to make it to that length, to make it to that level, you have to be kind of arrogant. You got to believe in yourself. I get that. But at the same time, you need to be smart about it. You need to be able to see what things really, you need to be able to see the forest for the trees, you know? And that's where they find themselves at in a terrible situations where the quarterback wants nothing to do with them. And not just any quarterback, a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it, wants nothing to do with the franchise.
Maybe,
and that's a shame.
In my opinion, maybe the best quarterback to ever played. Not as far as Super Bowls winning, I'm talking about just pure talent. Just the best to do it. I mean, and just looking at it, it's like just to piggyback on what you said, coaches can only go but so far as with their players. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure if you ask what's his name, Phil Jackson, hey, if I had Michael, if I had George, what's his name, Pippen or Kobe or Shaq, I wouldn't have 9 rings. I mean, just calling it what it is. And I mean, it's just like, come on, you gotta be smart about it. I mean, it's okay to have some arrogance, but yo, humble yourself. You ain't 13-3 without Rodgers. Let's keep it 100. Because I mean, even with one knee, he still was getting the job done. I think not this past year, but last year when his knee was fucked up against the Bears, and he literally brought them back to win that game. So I don't want to hear that shit about like, oh, my system is the best shit ever. Nah, you need players in order to be successful. And with players, be it with being played, since we're talking about players, let's get into the NFL draft. What was your thought into the NFL draft this past week?
I enjoyed this draft. I enjoyed this draft a lot. There's a lot of depth. There is a lot of teams. A lot of teams got a lot better. I really liked what the New York Jets did. The New York Jets have had a lot of talent, and they're helping out. They're helping out Zach Wilson in a way that they never did for Sam Darnold. And it looks like they're going to be pretty good. They were pretty aggressive going up to get Elijah Vera-Tucker from USC, who's projected to be a left guard. So now they have Mekhi Becton at left tackle, and then they have Vera-Tucker at left guard. And they're going to be pretty good. They added Michael Carter from UNC, who's a pretty damn good running back. And so they're starting to surround themselves with talent. The Pittsburgh Steelers added the running back that they needed in Najee Harris, who reminds me of a little bit bigger Matt Forte, with a little bit more burst, but just as versatile. Can catch the ball, can protect. He's a good hard-nosed runner. I'm a little bit surprised by the tight end that they picked out of Penn State, Pat Furymuth. I can't really pronounce his name, but it's Pat F. Let's just say that. he's not really like, I mean, he's more of a red zone target. He's not going to separate from anybody or do anything. But I mean, they also have Eric Ebron to be able to work between from 20 to 20, and then from the 20 on in, that's where you go to pass. But I feel like they did some good things. The Washington football team just had an excellent draft, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They filled a lot of. They've created a situation to where there is competition everywhere. And 2 years ago, there was no competition there, but now there is definitely competition at every position. And I think Ron Rivera and his staff are doing a great job. But on the other half of that coin, I don't know what the hell John Gruden and Mike Mayock are doing out in Vegas. They are the kings of just overdrafting everything. Alex Leatherwood wasn't projected to go until the second or third round, and they made him a first round pick. And me being an offensive line coach, I look at his tape and I'm just like, but why though? Like he has such bad tendency, man. His technique is just awful, and it frustrates me to look at. And they just overdrafted this kid, man. It's just kind of crazy to me. Like, I get that Mike Mayock is a guru, so to speak, but I mean, Jesus Christ, like that. They're just throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks at this point, and it shows. Like the only good kid they've drafted, in my opinion, has been Josh Jacobs. Everybody else has just been a complete overdraft. Damon Arnott last year.
What's the corner that they had, or the safety that they had last year, that they picked up last year?
Damon Arnott.
Yeah.
Damon Arnott. That was probably another second or third round pick that they're drafting in the first round because apparently they're allergic to first round talent. It just looks really, really bad, man. So yeah, that's how I felt about the draft. How about yourself?
Well, as far as like the picks that I did like how Chicago moved up to get what's the kid from Ohio State?
Justin Fields.
I like this kid. As much as I hate Ohio State, I have a strong disdain for Ohio State, but I can't even knock the fact that these guys be balling. And I mean, the fact that they was like, okay, you know what? They missed out on they missed out on Deshaun Watson, and they missed out on Mahomes. I honestly think that they picked up the right one in this draft. But only time will tell. But they are the Bears, so I don't know how long that is, how that's going to be structured. They were a playoff team in the new playoff seeding this past year, but I hope that he gets the ground running. I hope, because he's a dynamic quarterback. I really thought he was one of the best pure quarterbacks that we had, especially in the way that this offense has been. These offenses nowadays, you have a dual threat quarterback. He ain't got to be Michael Vick, but if he's elusive like Wilson in Seattle, then hey, you could go ahead and just dink and dunk here, extend the play, go ahead and make a big throw. Who knows? He could actually pan out to be something great. As far as the one thing that I couldn't stand in the draft, and it's not a knock at the player, I didn't like what the fuck the Bengals did with picking up Jamar Chase. I think that Jamar Chase is this outstanding receiver. But you just came over there and came off. You had Joe Burrow just came off he's still going through a 2 ligament injury in his knees. You need protection, and if you want to come over there and make sure that this quarterback is going to be official for the future, you should have got Penei Sewell. I thought that he was the best one available. Everybody thought he was the best tackle available. You need to build that line, but I think you had told me earlier this past weekend that was Joe's calling for what's his name, for Jamar to come in. I get it, that's your boy, but you can't even throw to your boy if you sitting on your ass or sitting on the sideline because you fucked up your knee. He was hit so many times last year, and that's
one of the things that most people don't know, and this is kind of insider information. The whole hype around Penei Sewell is actually more of a fan type thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of scouts and a lot of coaches don't see him as great as everybody thinks he is. Mm-hmm. And that's because he opted out on his past season, and they're just like, we wanted to see him this season going when that target is really on your back and people are gunning for you and you're gonna get everybody's best game. They don't believe that he's as good as he is. So I mean, I agree with you. You need to protect your quarterback, but if your quarterback is lobbying for, if you see what Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow did with just him and T. Higgins last year, you see what him and Jamar Chase did in college. I mean, I'm not too sure that I wouldn't have made that same move. And again, the Bengals did address the offense. They addressed the offense line several times in the draft later on. So, and I mean, you can find good linemen everywhere. Like, I mean, David Bakhtiari, the left tackle for the Green Bay Packers, 4th round pick. So it may work out. We don't know. We don't know how things will shape up for them. Also, I like what Jacksonville did. Jacksonville is kind of reloading their talent after they purged everybody out of there. The fact that they got Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, in the first round was kind of surprising to me. But
you brought two teammates back together.
Yeah, and I mean, and Urban Meyer wanted both of them to come to Ohio State. He recruited both of them, and they went to Clemson. So now you get to see Urban's system being used in the NFL with the two players that he really wanted. So I think it's gonna be a fun to watch. I think it's gonna be a pretty good season coming up. I'm ready to see where these things go.
Okay, so I know this wasn't in the actual outline, but I have to ask, seeing that we're talking about the Jaguars. For those of you who haven't heard this news, Tim Tebow wants to go ahead and make a change to go from a washed-up quarterback at that, and try to go back to the position where everybody said he should have been in. He wants to play tight end for Urban Meyer. What is your thoughts?
Tim Tebow is the come-to-life version of John Walker to me. For those of you that don't know, John Walker is U.S. agent, a.k.a. the fake Captain America from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I'm sick of Tim Tebow's shit. I don't want to hear about Tim Tebow anymore. I didn't like him coming out of Florida, him and his Jesus freak ways. I don't like, people call him the greatest college football player to ever play. I hate that. I fucking hate that. It's because he's white. It's because he's a Bible thumper. And everybody was just all on his Johnson. I've never liked Tim Tebow. I want him to go the fuck away. That's not the way. Things shouldn't work this way. You don't get to flame out as a quarterback, then go and play baseball for a while, and then decide when you're 33 that I want to become a tight end now. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I'm sick of him getting all of these opportunities. He is the personification of white privilege and athlete form.
And we can go on and on about this, but let's go on about because this is a DMV-based show. What is your thoughts on, because we touched on it earlier on, your thoughts on the actual picks that went down? First round pick, Jamin Davis out of Kentucky, ran a 4.37. He's at a position of need, but he was also one of the top rising draft prospects coming out just this year. And what's your thoughts on him?
I like him. I like the so you said it's a DMV-based show, so we're clearly talking about the picks for the Washington football team.
Yeah.
He seems like to be a very good player, in my opinion. I like sure tacklers. I like athletic linebackers who essentially are going to grow into the position. So I liked him. I like the Sam Cosmi pick in the second round, the left tackle out of the University of Texas. Very athletic, very strong. Has some technique issues, which is why he slipped to the second round. But he has a ton of experience. I think he started like 32 games at the University of Texas, which is crazy for college linemen. He's going to push Sadiq Charles at that left tackle position. I think he was a really good pickup. Again, love the De'Ami Brown pick. I believe his name is Benjamin St. Juice, the cornerback out of Minnesota. Again, big, tall, a huge corner at 6'3", 205. Could be our version of Richard Sherman if he shores up his technical issues, because he's a little bit stiff in the hips, and ability to open up and run. But I mean, again, he has all the measurables, everything that you would want in a nice shutdown corner. What we get? Who's next?
Bradley King.
The Bradley King linebacker out of Baylor. Another outside linebacker who can give you some outside rush. A nice little marginal kid. I think the rest are just depth. Shaka Tony out of Penn State. Can't believe he lasted as long as he did. Again, that's another one who's going to shock a lot of people. Derek Forrest, who is going to be a demon on special teams. Cheeseman, the long snapper, should be a replacement for Nick Sundberg, who just recently retired. Again, a receiver from BYU. His name is Dax
Millen from BYU. He was actually he was the number one target in BYU this year with what's his name?
He was the one catching all the passes from Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Again, what they've done is they've created competition at every level, which is what you need to do when you want to have a team that's looking to get better. And that's the thing. Like there's literally competition at every position now. Like people are just going to be comfortable and say, "Oh, this is my job." No, you're going to have to come in and prove it. You're going to have to fight for it. And then the undrafted free agent that they picked up, Jared Patterson, who's from the University of Buffalo, who rushed for 412 yards and 8 touchdowns a game, and is actually a DMV. He's from the DMV. He went to Pilati. Mm-hmm. He's another one who is big noise coming out as him possibly challenging to make the roster as an undrafted free agent running back. So, I mean, again, just a hell of a job by Ron Rivera and his whole staff in drafting. I mean, they picked up some really, really good prospects.
And I love the fact that every single person has character. There's no character issues. Like as far as with Samuel Cosme, the one thing I loved about him, and yes, he does need some work on his technique, but once he gets his paws on you, you ain't going nowhere. I like the fact that he was actually he's quick enough, because I don't know if anybody's seen some of the one of the plays that he had. He was on a screenplay, and he caught a pass and ran in for a touchdown and ran one of the guys over to get into the end zone. I like you said, as far as with Benjamin St. Juste, I think as far as just to keep it Legion of Boom, I kind of look at him more so as a Browner. And Browner was no slouch. I think he needs a little work, but I love it. I hope I'm pronouncing Brown, the receiver. Damari Brown. I mean, he is. I like it, and I mean, and the one thing I would actually say, just as far as with Washington's receiving core, I can't wait until training camp, because you still got what's his name, Gandy Golden, who only played like a few plays last year. He still trying to come in and prove himself. You still got what's the name, Sims that was over there. He still got a Steven Sims. He has to go and prove himself. Tight end John Bates. The one thing about him that when I saw originally that NFL Network was saying like, oh, they're comparing him to Jeremy Sprinkle, I was like, okay, how should I feel about this? But then after hearing that his coaches said, yo, we used him wrong. Like, he actually can ball. We just didn't use him the right way, and that falls on us. I'm actually interested in what's going to happen with him, because, I mean, for you to be a 4th round draft pick, and usually 4th round draft picks, their starter material, possibly, just like you said, Bakhtiari, is regarded as the best tackle in the game, and he was a 4th round player. Who knows? I'm not saying that Bates is going to be an all-pro, but I'm just saying as far as if he's used correctly, and I think that with this, if you've seen how Logan Thomas was used last year, I mean, damn, why not?
Well, I mean, so Bates has a ton of potential. He has the potential to be a really good player. But then also, let's not forget about the undrafted guy that they signed, Sammis Reyes, who has all the athletic potential in the world to be a superstar. I mean, he's in the mold of all of those other basketball players who didn't make it to the NBA, and they decided to try their hand at football, and they're like, wait a minute, I'm more built for this. And Sammis Reyes has the potential to be the best one out of the bunch, because he's 6'6", 265 and runs a 4.6. I mean, he has the potential to be incredible with not to mention a 38-inch vertical. which essentially makes him unguardable if he can learn how to run routes and track the ball. I mean, that's problematic. Like I said, again, the theme that I keep on talking about here is when you talk about all of this talent, is they have created competition at every level.
Yes.
Every level, there's going to be competition. There's going to be people fighting to win these positions, and it's just going to result in a great team. I mean, and then a lot of people aren't looking forward to it, but I'm encouraged by Fitzpatrick at the quarterback and running the whole thing, because I mean, what we haven't had here in a long time is a quarterback willing to throw the ball downfield without throwing an interception. Kirk Cousins. But I'm very excited because Fitzpatrick is one of the smartest people on the field at any given time, and he's going to take those chances. So I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And the one thing about it, like I know a couple weeks ago we talked about it just in private, as far as like, with the kid from Texas A&M, with him coming in, but he got drafted by what's the name of it? He got drafted by Minnesota. The quarterback.
Kellen Mond.
And just seeing as far as like how he is, everybody was saying, well, I don't know if he's going to be able to play. But if you looked at, what's the name, with Fitzmagic, he always, I think only 1 year, he's only played one whole 16 game season. And I mean, and I'm not saying that he's the future or anything, but I'm looking at it with him. I'm like, wow. He throws it downfield. He's going to give you that, yeah, I can help but win this game, but I can fuck it up too. And the one thing about it with him, I'm just looking at like, okay, so if he doesn't play, who's gonna back him up? As far as, I mean, I don't know much about Heineke at all. All I know is that he had a good game against what's the name, the Buccaneers in the playoffs last year, but that was one game. I'm not sold on that, and I'm not sold with the other dude. What's his name's going?
Kyle Allen.
Yeah, Kyle Allen doesn't wow me either. I mean, you won one game with us last year. Oh wow, I'm not sold. I'm a little weary at it, but only time will tell.
So the thing about it is you just need a quarterback that's able to run your system. You know, I think right now we have 3 quarterbacks that can run the system. That can put it there. They can put a ball where it needs to go. Their thing is they just have to not make mistakes. And I think it's being set up so that they don't have the opportunity to make mistakes, honestly. Because when you surround a quarterback with this much talent, you don't really give them the chance to make those mistakes, those critical game-losing mistakes. I mean, so it's I'm a little bit more optimistic than everybody else, but that's because quite frankly, I'm a better judge of talent than everybody else. And so, I mean, because I do this. I literally do this. I do this for a living. So it's very, very promising. And just real quick, just a direct message to Washington football team fans. Y'all gotta stop being so stupid, man. Like really, y'all really gotta stop being so stupid.
I don't disagree with that statement.
It's y'all gotta be impartial to things. Everything is not a direct attack on you, except for this. This is a direct attack. What I'm saying, you guys are really, really dumb, and you need to pump the brakes. Everything is never as good as you think it is. It's also never as bad as you think it is. Yeah. Also, it is not a good thing to have it as a point of pride that the most popular player in town is the backup quarterback. That makes no sense. Please stop being stupid.
Thank you.
Please get out of that George Allen mind state from the fucking 60s and 70s, because it makes us look really, really stupid, guys. Yes. Really, really stupid. Please stop. Sincerely, Rickstro. By the way, Danny Rouillet, you're an idiot. Stop talking.
And just with those old school mindsets, I have to ask you, with the NFL had just passed the rule to go ahead and let skill players in skill positions wear single digits. Me personally, I'm for the shit. I like seeing me growing up. I used to love watching USC with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. There was something about Reggie Bush wearing that number 5, going back and forth for the field, just that change of direction. That shit just looked nice. And then all of a sudden, you get to the league, you're 25. It's just like, I don't know. And I mean, like seeing primetime wearing number 2 in Florida State. Then you finally get to see him, but he only wears it during practice, where he can only wear number 2. I like those skill positions wearing single digit numbers. I'm fine with receivers wearing single digits, tight ends. Hell, I'm even fine with linebackers wearing it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not so sure about like linemen wearing it, but hey, I'm all for change, and I just wish people would get off their high horse saying, "Oh, get off my lawn" type people saying like, "Oh, why does he have to go ahead and wear that wear the single digits?" The only issue I have with this whole entire situation is that all the players that want to change their number, they're going to have to buy back all those jerseys that's been made, and it's bullshit. But I mean, if we all know, like, you got Jalen Ramsey like on here right now. Jalen Ramsey can afford to pay the rest of the shit off, and then, yeah, it's gonna be an inconvenience. But hey, I get the number that I want. I mean, and like Prime said,
listen, so if I'm one of the players, if I'm like a cornerback or wide receiver who wants to change my number, and I can afford to do it, I'm gonna buy back the whole stock, and then you know exactly what I'm gonna do on the back end, so that I get my money back. I'm going to donate them to I'm going to buy the whole stock. I'm going to donate them to several charities, and I'm going to write that shit off on my taxes. That's exactly what I'm going to do. But I mean, again, the NFL, I'm all for this as well, because the NFL needs to get away from the whole no fun league moniker, and they've done that as far as like releasing lessening the stipulations on people celebrating and things of that nature. I mean, it's an emotional game. They're emotional players, and the way that you look and how you feel in your uniform contributes a lot to the way that you play and the way that you feel every day. It's something that needed to happen. It's a long time coming, and hopefully the NFL keeps on with this trend of changing and changing with the times, basically.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Primetime said it. You look good, you feel good, you play good, you play good, they pay good. So why not? And with change, I mean, there is a new change in the NBA. And yes, we are talking about playoffs. The playoff seeding that they have this year, they have it to where teams from 7 all the way down to 10, they get to have a play-in game. And just in case if you haven't heard by now, the number 8 seed, number 17, and the number 18, you're gonna play. Winner of that automatically gets into the playoffs. And then you have number 10 and number 9 going up against each other. And the winner of that goes on to be the 8th seed. So, with the way the Wizards have been playing, they are on a hot streak. I love what's going on with them. I don't really have any faith in some of the other teams that's on there, like with the Pacers. I'm just not sold on them. I love the fact that what's the name of that kid in it? Ball.
LaMelo.
Yeah. LaMelo is killing it. I don't know if you've seen that pass. I think I sent it to you. He had that half court pass right off the rebound, and they are looking good. I would love to see them in the playoff game, because who knows? You playing a team like what's the name? The Sixers. I would love to see him and Simmons go at it. I would love to see it. So those are the teams I'm rooting for in the West. I'm sorry, in the East, but I'm rooting for Curry to just shoot the lights out to get to the playoffs, and that's somebody you don't want to see on the West Coast as well as what's the name? I still got faith in Portland. Portland is Dame is money. There's a reason why they call him Logo Lillard. I mean, I would love to see this. I love how the playoff seeding is. It gives lower seed teams to get a chance. It gives the higher seeds extra time to rest and everything. I'm for it. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now, and in the East Coast, it's the Nets, the 76ers, and then everybody else. I think so. The teams in front of the Wizards right now are the Hornets are in 8th, and they're in 8th place at 31-32. The Pacers are 30-33, and then the Wizards are in 10th at 29-35. I think the Wizards can, if they keep playing at the rate they're playing, the clip they're playing at, I think they're going to get into the playoffs. I'm not too sure about the Hornets, the Hawks, and the Celtics, who are in fifth and sixth respectively right now. They've been very, very shaky at times. And I don't know if they're going to keep it together enough to hold these leads. I'm really interested to see. I mean, and in the East, honestly, there's not really anybody I'm interested to see in the playoffs other than the Knicks. To be honest with you, I'd love to see the Wizards get in there, but the Knicks have completely shocked me with the way that they're playing. They're playing like their owner isn't a douchebag.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing. James Dolan has been a complete menace to that franchise since he took over as owner, and they're playing. Yeah, I would say yeah. But they're playing at a great pace right now. I would love to see their playoff matchup. It would be them versus the Hawks right now, and I'll take them because Trae Young looks like he has a testicle hair on his head, and I just don't trust players to look like that. And then in the West right now, so 8 through 10 right now in the West are the Grizzlies, the Warriors, and the Spurs. I mean, it's going to be the Warriors. Like, let's just face facts. It's going to be the Warriors. They got Steph Curry, and the light-skinned assassin is going to shoot his way into the playoffs. I mean, it is what it is. Right? But I mean, again, the Lakers. The funny thing about it is everybody wants to forget about the Lakers, and they're going to start propping up these teams. I'm just like, man, you guys got to learn. Again, LeBron shows you every year. Once I get to the dance, it doesn't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter what seat I'm in. It doesn't. My logic is undeniable. You will not deny me. I'm going to be in the finals. He shows it to you every year. Every year, people keep on with their LeBron slander and they keep on saying he's not great because he's been to the finals this many times and hasn't won. You guys got to stop, man. You got to stop. Like he's out there playing against other high-level athletes who are literally forming these super teams. Please don't say that LeBron was the first one to form a super team because it was the Celtics. Before then, there were other teams. Now we'll get into that because we can talk about that for a whole another hour. We don't have that much time. But again, don't disrespect LeBron James by saying, he's finished, they're not going to do this. Yeah. He's going to prove everybody wrong again. And honestly, they're going to be in the finals again because the Jazz ain't going to hold it together. The Suns, come on, man. Stop. Stop it.
CP3?
The Nuggets, Jamal Murray ain't playing, so yeah. And Jokic, cool. Here's the thing. It kills me every time there's some white boy to come out and pull a couple passes out his ass. All of a sudden, he's this great player. Like him and Luka Doncic, everybody's like, oh my God, do you see him? He threw it behind his back like this. Cut this shit, man. Cut it out. They not as great as y'all want them to be. Stop with the great white hype shit, man. Like, come on. Like, let's be real about the shit. They're good. They ain't top tier. You know what I mean? Like, y'all got to stop this shit, man. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, again, and it's just on and on. And then, of course, my favorite that everyone loves to pick, the fucking Clippers. It's an all-powerful playoff P.
Oh, man. I wish I had
so
give him 4 thumbs down.
All right.
I love the shit talking that you're doing, especially with this basketball segment. With that being said, man, we got to get into the shit talking that Paul and Dana White has been getting into this past week.
You mean Jake Paul showing up at UFC 261?
Yeah.
And basically hijacking the whole event. So UFC 261 took place. It's about 2 weeks ago now. And you had a stacked card. You had Kamaru Usman defending his welterweight belt against Jorge, I'm a Trump supporter, Masvidal, a.k.a. fuck you. You have Valentina Shevchenko defending her women's flyweight belt against Jessica Andrade. You had Zhang Weili defending her flyweight belt against I just said flyweight twice. It's featherweight. Flyweight, no, it's flyweight, and then there's something else. It's strawweight, strawweight. Her strawweight belt against Rose Namajunas. And again, it's just a stacked card all the way around. Oh, Chris Weidman suffering the best case of irony in the history of anything because he broke his leg. But yeah, it's a stacked card. It's the first time fans are back in the UFC. they're in Jacksonville, so it's a bunch of sweaty white boys without masks coughing on each other and spilling beer on each other. So I mean, it should have been great. But then Jake Paul shows up, and Daniel Cormier draws attention to Jake Paul being there by going out of his way and confronting him. And then the stupid ass UFC sweaty white boys are hijacking a UFC show by chanting against a boxer. You guys run around in your tap out shirts and your fake tough guy tees with your fucking barbed wire tattoo across here, talking about how tough you are and boxing is dead. But then you start giving this media whore exactly what he wants at a UFC show. Mm-hmm. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That's very, very dumb. But
stereotype for me.
but then, I mean, but of course, Jake Paul then goes on to say some really legit shit. He calls out Dana White for his underpaying of his fighters, and UFC fighters make nothing when they start out. Like your show purse when you're a fighter just now starting the UFC is $6,000. It gets doubled to $12,000 if you win. $6,000. Some people will say, well, that's more than what boxers make on their first fight. Yeah, maybe. But then you got to think about it. I got to pay for training. Yep. I got to pay for transportation. Yep. I got to pay my coaches to be there. I got to pay my corner people. Then I got to pay taxes on that. Then I got bills to pay. So at some point, you got to do that. So you got to put up this hectic ass training schedule while also working a full-time job. If you are a professional athlete, the market at this point dictates you should no longer be working a full-time job because you can't be a professional and have a full-time job. This is not the Olympics. They should be getting paid a living wage. If I signed a contract with the UFC, I should be making a certain amount of money per fight. Not it fluctuates or I get a fight of the night bonus, so maybe I can take a week off from work. It should be based on, yeah, you should get bonuses, but at the same time, you should be getting paid a wage that dictates that you are what you say you are. See, Dana White is like is almost on that Vince McMahon scale of not really paying people. You know, you should be paying people what they deserve. And these are world-class professional athletes. And you got people breaking down in the octagon after fights because they got to go to work the next day. Exactly. I just got my face punched in for 3 rounds, but now I won. But at the same time, I know I didn't get the finish, so I got to go back to work. That's crazy. That is crazy in my eyes.
And I mean, just to think about it, I mean, with the UFC, all it takes is one good punch or one good kick, and you might be fucking out of it for weeks. So I mean, I'm putting I'm training all of this, all of this, just to go and get my ass whooped, and then I bring so much to it, and then the bullshit that I hate about it is that they're gonna go ahead and say, oh, we're using the money that you can be using towards promotion. Let me do my own fucking promotion. Fucking pay me. I should be getting paid at the very base minimum because the UFC isn't like how it was in the beginning where it was just like little hangout spot fights and shit like that. This shit is global. I mean, we just talked about it earlier today in Blurs and Whiskey about you had Ngannou, you had what's the other 2 guys' name? I don't want to butcher their names.
Adesanya and Usman.
And they are from Africa. So this shit is global. So don't give me no bullshit about like, oh, we can't pay you but $6,000 for... No, if I'm on that fucking card and I'm killing the shit, fucking pay me. And I mean, for real, I don't see I really don't fuck with Jake Paul or either of the Paul brothers. But at the same time, the homie was speaking facts. Nigga, pay me. Pay me what I deserve. Conor McGregor is not the only fucking headline in the UFC. I mean, come on, the motherfucker got knocked out 2 of the last 3 fights that he was in. And Ngannou is killing this shit. Nobody wants to fuck with him right now. What's his name?
Well. There's one person that wants to. I mean, that's gonna fuck him up. But I mean, like, John, no. John is going to take that belt once Dana pays John. Again, there's a theme there. Once Dana pays John what he's worth, because he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. By the way, let me speak directly to the Twitterverse on this one. Okay. Because there's a lot of people out there that saying, oh, John Jones popped positive for steroids. He did not pop positive for steroids. He tested, there was a misconstruction, there was a misnomer in his test because he took a fucking Blue Chew, and that made it look like he was taking performance-enhancing drugs. He never took performance-enhancing drugs. He actually was just on cocaine, which he's admitted to. But he's still the greatest. He's still the greatest fighter of all time. I don't give a shit what you people like to think. I don't know what the hell you guys think steroids are. I don't know what the fuck you people. You really don't understand things, and I learned this day in and day out. People don't understand what the fuck things do. Steroids don't make you some type of super soldier. You're not taking the Steve Rogers, Dr. Erskine serum, right? There is work that still needs to be put in. They just help you to recover faster, right? So it still takes talent to be able to perform. Yes, you have an advantage when it comes to recovering and working out, but there still has to be some modicum of talent there to perform. Right? I'm not making an excuse for people taking steroids. I just want people to understand what it is that these people are actually taking and doing. Right. Now, the reason why people feel this pressure to do that is because you got all of these people coming down on you about performing and having to be able to do this. Meanwhile, if you don't perform, you don't get paid. Your family doesn't eat. So for people to sit here and judge and say, oh, I would never do anything like that, you're a fucking liar. You're a liar. And you're just saying this shit because you like to be holier than thou. The funny thing about it is, again, I'm going to get historical on you motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. The reason why steroids is outlawed in this country is because the U.S. likes to think that they're better than everybody else because Russia was using them in the Olympics. Yep. The U.S. find out and they demonize them and oh, these are bad and they do these things. Shut the fuck up. You guys know nothing. You know nothing. Right? It's crazy to me. But with that being said, John is going to take that belt. He's the greatest fighter of all time. Please stop saying that Khabib Nurmagomedov is the greatest fighter of all time because he is not. He only had 4 title defenses. Meanwhile, John has had the fucking light heavyweight belt since 2011. Think about that shit. Yeah. He's never lost a fight since then. That's crazy.
Shit. I don't think there's anything else to talk about, man. Because I think we talked.
Yeah.
This is a great first episode, man. So with that being said, like, share, subscribe on all social media platforms. This is Sports and Whiskey. Up to it, down to it. Fuck those who don't do it. We do it because we used to it. Drink, motherfucker, drink. And we out.